Welcome, everyone. My name is Kimberly Bradley, the Conversations Curator at Art Basel in Basel, and welcome to The Artist and the Collector, which is an ongoing series of talks that explores the often intriguing relationships that can emerge between an art collector and an artist. Our collector for this edition is Patrizia Sandretto Re Rebaudengo, longtime collector, longtime philanthropist who chose to be in conversation with Polish multimedia artist Paulina Olowska, who recently closed a major exhibition at Patrizia's Foundation in Turin. Moderating the conversation is my esteemed colleague Colleen Milliard, the executive editor of Art Basel Stories and the global head of our Conversations program. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you.
Let's give a warm round of applause to everyone on stage and enjoy the conversation.
Thank you, Kimberly. Kimberly is our new conversation curator this year, so we're extremely privileged to be working with her, and extremely happy to welcome you both on stage for the third iteration of our Artist and Collector series. So as Kimberly has explained, this is a bit of a special series in which we ask a collector to pick one artist, and you, Patrizia, chose to be in conversation with Paulina Olowska, and on the back of your wonderful exhibition at the Fondazione in Turin. This project was extremely ambitious. This project in Turin really looked at the idea of reclaiming female eroticism and looking at things as far as softcore, Emmanuel, great reference from the 70s, from a female perspective. And that was a very specific lens to look at your collection. We'll come back to that in a moment. Really, it's a fantastic opportunity for us to also think about this idea of desire, because desire is really a driver of the art world. It's a driver of the market, the relationship between patrons, between artists. So we're going to deep dive into this today. But before we do this, I'd like just to say a few words about you two, for you in the audience who are perhaps a bit less familiar with the achievement of our two esteemed panelists. So starting with you, Patrizia, it's really striking when you read the literature that has been produced around Patrizia and the Fondazione. There's some words that keep coming back. And there was like force, like powerhouse. For the Financial Times, your one-person dynamo. For W magazines, you're Italy's Peggy Guggenheim. And the truth is, it's really hard to overstate the importance of your contribution to visual art in Europe and globally over the more than 3 decades. So you started your Fondazione in 1995, first in Guarene, and then in Turin, which you launched in 2002. In 2017, you launched the Fondazione in Madrid, and we'll come back, of course, to Madrid. And most recently, you acquired the Isola San Giacomo di Paluda on the Venetian Lagoon, which is a work in progress, and I wholeheartedly encourage you to go if you can. It's a really wonderful place. In November, this is what brings us together. You hosted this extraordinary exhibition, Visual Persuasion. Visual Persuasion was one of your most immersive exhibitions to date, Paulina. We discussed how enclosed, like a universe it was within the Fondazione. And it was not only your work, older work, new work, but also works from the collection, Vanessa Beecroft, Sylvie Fleury, Cindy Sherman, Mona Hatoum. We'll come back to them. And how to describe Paulina's work? It's so vast and so rich. You are, I guess, a storyteller, first and foremost. You work with painting, with photography, with video, with performance, with theater, with installation, sculpture, ceramics, and magazine, museums, perhaps soon. So every time you take us in a new world, in a new universe, inspired sometimes by Slavic mythology, sometimes fairy tale, sometimes Central European history. Very often, and I guess we've talked about this more and more, you've recentered your gaze on all things female, the unsung heroes of history, often artists, unsung artists as well. And that championing of women has gone into your real life. You told me, like, half in jest that you thought your galleries should only sell your work to female collectors. I'm not sure they thought it was such a great idea, but just putting it out there. And to go back to this show, you really put all of these muses as an incredible female artist at the center of the show as well. including one, Maja Berezovska, who is very well known for an erotic body of work. So that really gives you a flavor of this city within a city, or perhaps a red light district of art history that you built at Fondazione with Patrizia. So really, before we start, I mean, I'd like to ask you both, how did you meet? How did we come to that point of this exhibition?
So, I will start. So, first of all, welcome. Thank you. I want to say a big thank you to Art Basel, to Kimberly, to you, Colleen, for inviting me to this fantastic occasion to talk together a great friend of mine and a fantastic artist, because Paulina is really special. How we met? So, I have to say that I met before your work than you. Because in 2008, in Torino, we did a fantastic project. It was called Triennial, Free Museum, that was Fondazione Sandretto Re Rebaudengo, the Museo di Rivoli, and the city of Torino, and Daniel Birbaum was the curator, and Paulina was invited with Bonnie Camplain to show a work. And I was impressed by her, and so I started to pay attention to her work, and then to buy. The first work was by Foxal Gallery in 2010, 11, something like that. And then, eccoci, so you are here. Eh? And then I go ahead, do other works, and then we decided to invite Paulina to not only to show his work, maybe we talk later about that, but not only to show her work, but to do something special, like also curating, because she's also a curator.
Mm. So how do you remember how you met? What was your first impression of Patrizia?
Yes, so I think, with my muses, one of my music is a she collector. Mm-hmm. So the first painting which was shown on the panel is actually La Collectionneuse, which is from Eric Romer film, where I kind of painted few collectors, like also Peggy Guggenheim, but I thought this is an adequate image for our meeting because it's a little bit the idea, in Eric Romer, she's a collector of love and lovers, but with the painting, I try to capture this moment of when you're thinking of something to possess. And I think it also embraces the painter and the collector, so what does she collect? And for me, she was collecting the abstraction in the background. So based on this calling, and I do really believe in callings and spiritual wanting, I always wanted to meet Patrizia Re Rebaudengo, and I was hearing of her show and the picture there was one picture from Turin, which is the city of Nicholas Copernicus, Torino, where Patrizia, it's a small but very special city in Poland, north of Poland, with also a really spiritual level, and this is what I want to get onto this talk as well, that Torino, as much as Turin, have this high magic power, and Patrizia had presented her collection the first time, and this is where I saw her collection. I haven't met there yet, so it was not till very recently, actually in the forest of Norway, in a beautiful museum, in Kistefos Museum, in Norway, also a very spiritual place, that we both met. And this was the beginning of our large collaboration, the visual persuasion.
Yes.
Patrizia, you've worked and collaborated with many, many artists. Can you tell us a little bit, how does that work? Do you have criteria? Are you looking for specific things? Or is it people? Is it relationship? And then maybe from then, could you take us to what attracted you to Paulina's work?
Yes. No, I used to say that, first of all, I buy works of art for passion. Passion is the beginning of everything. I've never, from the beginning, I started collecting in 1992, and from the beginning, I never bought a work thinking it was a form of investment, but always because, sometimes because I like a work, I want to buy, sometimes because I think that it works in the story of the collection of the Fondazione. But for me, it's really important to buy what I think that is that is contemporary, that really speak of the moment in which we live. And I always, but then for me has always been important to meet the artists, to know them, to visit them in their studio. And so from the beginning, I have to say that it's a generational collection that started visiting galleries, fairs, Art Basel, not because we are here, but I have to say that my first visit in Basel was 1992, so can you imagine how many years. So, it's so important. And then what is very important in my way to collect is to buy only in the galleries. Not because there are many galleries, but this is true. I never bought directly to an artist. Maybe it happened once because they were so young that they didn't have the gallery. But generally, I prefer, in my way, in my concept to buy art, it's always been important to buy in the gallery and then to follow the artist during the year. And now I have to say that now I collect a new generation. Now my son Eugenio, that is here, is also collects, and now what is fantastic too for me, because I can collect a new generation of artists through our dialogue. We can think for the collection, but I have to say also for the Fondazione. And I have to say that generally when we invite an artist in Fondazione, is an artist that already we have some works in the collection, or some artists that we pay attention and we would like maybe after to buy. So there is always something of the collection. But what I really want to say that for me, art is, first of all, I have to say, is passion. It is so important. It's always been important from the beginning, the relation with the artist. This, I cannot imagine other ways to collect and to follow. Not only collection, but also with the Fondazione.
And so we see at the beginning of that relationship, first you saw the work, you acquired a piece, and then another, and then another, and then that grew into this spectacular exhibition that opened in November. Paulina, would you like to set the stage for people, and we have some slides, so I'm going to go to them as well. This is another work of Paulina's in the collection, and here we're taking you to Turin, to the entrance of the show. Could you set the stage for us a little bit, Paulina?
Sure. So in November 2023, with Patrizia, we opened a show in a very grand Fondazione Central to Torino, Fondazione Sandretto Re Rebaudengo. And the building is, well, it's a very large building, and this is what Patrizia does. She's a collector. She's a friend of artists, but also she runs this amazing foundations, which she will later on show you the projects. But also the space has an educational center. Emilio is running an amazing restaurant and a bar. And in a way, when I saw this space, it's like an airport, it's big. I thought, what can I do? And I had spent a couple of days with Patrizia walking around the city of Torino, and you might know how Torino is special. It's the triangle of black and white magic, especially in the time of Artissima, especially in November. It has a very special vibe. So I thought, let me introduce the idea of the city and the hidden city inside this white, large box. So on the entrance, I had made this palimpsest, so like a collage of different existing neons, which as visual persuasion, which comes from a book of 1960s, how seductive images are. So basically, the whole exhibition was about the seductress, yes? How to seduce, how you are all seduced by us, by the work. But, you know, I think we were working in a 1 year of time, and I had been producing work, as Colleen introduced, in many, many perspectives and subject matters, but I thought, how can I embrace it? And actually, this was the beginning of our conversation, because why I was attracted to Patrizia was because of her collection. Patrizia Sandretto Re Rebaudengo has an amazing collection of artworks, and for an artist, it was a pleasure to go through the list. And in a way, so I thought my main occupation is being a painter, but a collagist. I like to think everything as staging, as you said, as into a collage. So when you passed by, on the end of this long corridor, there was a painting titled "The Philosophine," imaginary woman philosopher who kind of tries to, like Patrizia and I, because I want to bridge also this connection, because as a collector and an artist, we do have a lot of things in common, which we're going to try to show you in between. And both of us, we try to present art, but try to present it in a broader perspective with quite, always, I would say, a message. And an extravaganza, as you showed in Venice, in the last Venice.
If I may say, you were also, in a way, a fantasy collector, playing with a fantasy collection, which would be yours and Patrizia's, all coming together. So it's this thin line between curator, artist, collector, patron, and all of this, which actually shows how porous those lines are. I mean, the art world is really good at going, you fit in that box, but I think what you two are showing us is that there's no such boxes, and actually the limits are much more porous than that.
Yes.
Maybe to come back a little bit to your relationship with artists, Patrizia, as you mentioned it a little bit before, but perhaps before we do that, I just want to show this, because in a way, these images, so here, can you say a few words about this, Paulina? Sorry, we'll come back, hold that thought.
Well, it's from the show, and it's one of the entrances, because the space is quite broad. And Patrizia, it's also amazing to have a possibility to work with a space with a carte blanche. So I must say, Patrizia was very, I thought, this won't pass. This for sure is not going to pass. But in a way, everything was possible. And I changed completely the space, plus I took over the bar, the restaurant, not the restrooms.
Yes, it's true. Yes. When we start, only the exhibition area.
Yes.
And then the technical rooms, may I use?
Yes.
The entrance, may I use?
Yes.
The bookshops,
Yes.
the cafeteria.
Exactly.
So you offered an
restaurant.
exhibition and she took over, basically.
Yeah, kind of. Well, because I thought of this idea of the house, yes. But anyway, this is a juxtaposition of images, and it shows also the love and connection, and maybe something what the Baylor Foundation is trying to do, how close you can put two pieces together. So this is a neon of a dear friend of mine, Sylvie Fleury, Egoist, on top of a painting that is based on a film from 1970s, a soft porn, Emmanuel, which had to become a painting because I wanted to put it in my feminist visual vocabulary. Yeah.
And also, these two works go back to this idea of pop culture, which is extrapolated, reinvented throughout. So we don't know if it's Egoist the perfume, which I believe was the original reference, to the film, to the characters, to the viewer. So there's this whole kind of tension going in. If we keep going through these images, we'll see that this connection between your work and the works in the collection existed throughout the show.
Yes, and I never imagined to have so many work referring to the topic of sexual erotism, desire, and she found words that for me were very rigorous, and so was fantastic. And this is true happen often when some other curator, other director of museum invite you and to see, visited their collection from their point of view. And this happened with Paulina, yes. She completely changed the idea of my collection from my point of view. She did a fantastic job because, you see, the room is fantastic with the artist, so yes.
So this was overlaying Berlinda next to Sarah Lucas, next to a work of mine based on a Polish erotic cartoonist that is still to be discovered, Maja Berezowska, next to images of Cindy Sherman in Paulina's collection. In Patrizia's collection, there were the images of Cindy Sherman, which I juxtaposed with unknown, actually bought on the flea market images from Maja Berezowska from this erotic cartoons in Poland. And yeah, we can show maybe the next slide is we are showing part of the collections as well, not to overload with images, but this is a good example of how I try to work with the collection. So the sound in this room was coming from the erotic films and porn films that I had presented in long corridor boxes. In the middle, you know, like I thought, why not juxtaposing Sylvie Fleury pink blanket with open 1980s Vogues next to Thomas Hirschhorn, a work that couldn't be shown in Paris because of his, it was supposed to be a vitrine that was to be presented in Paris on the street, and it was rejected. And when I found such a work in the collection of Patrizia, I was like, wow, that's a great work. We got to show it. So it was also this edginess. How can we go around the corner and what corner brings you? And on the end of the exhibition, I had your bed.
My bedroom, my girl's bedroom, yes.
Yeah, so I think we need to pause on this for a second.
Okay.
You had Patricia's bedroom in the exhibition. Can you tell us more? That's very intriguing.
Patrizia can say.
She chose in the collection, and there is a work by Dominique Gonzalez Forster that is true. It's a bedroom. It's called hotel color, and it's really true. You buy the concept, and then you have to put a bed. It have to be a bed that has story with you, with your past, and then she just give the color of the wall. Mm-hmm. In my case, wall pink. That was perfect because I like pink a lot. And then she just give that you have to buy a small work with a lake. Mm-hmm. There is a lake, and then you can
make your own bedroom.
Make your room. And so there is my bed or when I was a girl, and so yes, it was a home at the end of Fondazione.
Yes. So because the architecture was so long and you could possibly get lost, I created some peepholes. So one could look through, so one could discover the room, a boudoir in a way of Patrizia's. I didn't know that it was her room. I just thought it's a sex worker's room, to be honest. But it was very modest, because of this modesty.
But so here it's really interesting because we have two works, the Dominique Gonzalez Foster works and the Thomas Hirschhorn works, which really show, I mean, how edgy your collection has always been. And in fact, I'm going to go to this next slide, which is one of your landmark early project, which took place over a landfill.
So we are in a landfill. We are not anymore in my room. We're not anymore. Yes.
But I think that's really important because in terms of being a patron that supports artists and support artists all the way. And I think that's really the lesson for everyone in this room is that your passion, your drive, your desire has made you do these extraordinary things, including, I'm just going to say the story here, we're in 2001, is that right? So this is the Venice Biennale. Harold Seaman is the curator there, and you charter the plane, or you send basically a large portion of the art world on this plane, which left Venice at 6 a.m. to go to Palermo, be driven to this landfill on which Maurizio Cattelan had installed this Hollywood sign, and then everyone had lunch. Harold Seaman was there. It was the Venice Biennial, it was the opening, it was there. So that just gives you a sense of how all of these projects have kind of become things of legend. And this question I wanted to ask you earlier is about why is it important for you to have that friendship, in fact, with artists?
Yes, I think so. But all we're talking is because artists are here, because it's thanks to the artists if we, collector, can do what we do. And in my case, from the beginning, when I started many years ago, I was really important. I still remember my first visit studio. It was really important to create a relation with the artist. And in this case, with Maurizio was fantastic because Maurizio did a great job, Hollywood, no? in Palermo, yes. Mm. And so from the beginning, I decided that I want to be a collector, first of all, but also to be much more part of the art world, and so it's for that Fondazione was established 2 years later. And I have to say, the Fondazione was born thanks to the artists, because it's through them that I start to understand how much I could do for them, how much I can do to support them, how many things now that we can do together. And so it was quite natural start to support them, their exhibition. In this case, we see Dag Eitgen has been one of my first friend and artists that I collect. We're talking about 1996. Yes, and then and in 1999 we produced the work, because what I think that is fantastic also if when I connected that you can buy, but you can also be part of the production of new work. So you can see from a project that realize and become a new work. And so in this case with Doug, this happened because it was invited by the Serpentine Gallery in 2001 to have a new show, New Ocean, and we realize, we produce, we finance all the exhibition. And this for me is so important, no? And we did with many other artists, with Berlinde de Breker, with Ragnar Kjart and so on.
So you're a collector, but I think,
yes, I think that
more than that.
Thanks to the artist, I could do that. I could be to be a collector, and this is very important. But also to be much more involved. And through the Fondazione, this was quite natural. Was easy. The Fondazione is a non-profit institution, so what we want is to support artists' work. And so, with Paulina, was really a great occasion to work together. And as you said, but really she changed completely also the architectural space of the Fondazione. And this happened only twice, with Adrian Villarroca and with you. Because this, for me, was so important, because you can not only read the collection, but in this case also your space in a different way and understand how it can work even in another way that you don't imagine.
When you say the Fondazione, I think it's important for people to understand that it's not just one place, it's actually many places, and it's an ensemble of organizations that have grown across Europe over the last few decades. Maybe this is a good moment to think about this idea of collaboration, because what you're talking about is, as a patron and supporter of artists, you are a collaborator, and collaboration is, of course, a very important part of what you do as well, Paulina. Just before we go into that a bit more, maybe Patrizia, could you just take us through the history of the Fondazione? Here I've got the Guarene.
Not collaboration, but from now with...
Well, collaboration and
because I want
creating
to
a foundation has probably
that
happened.
collaboration has always been so important. It's a word that I use and I like to use. Collaboration, that means the involvement of my family, my husband, and when the Fondazione was established, my son, Eugenio, is here, he was only 8, but so he grew up with the Fondazione, maybe sometimes a little bit too much, the presence of the Fondazione, but now he's a collector, he follows the collection, so means that this was good also for him. And then a collaboration with all our person working in the Fondazione, but also collaboration with other museum and institution, and also the collection that travel to other places. So collaboration really, for me, has been always important. As it was important, yes, my space is starting from the first one, that is Guarene. Guarene is an old palazzo of the 18th century by the family, and was the first place in which we start to organize exhibition. And near close to our palazzo, there is a hill, and on this hill we also produce some red wine, but we invite the artists to
and some art,
site-specific work, yes. And this is another great occasion to commission, and that for a collector is amazing. And then in 2002 we opened where Paulina worked, in the Fondazione Sandretto Re Rebaudengo in Torino, and this is obviously in Torino was much easier to follow our aim, because our aim is to support the artists, to collaborate, but also what is very important is education project and education program, because I really believe that we have to give the opportunity to everybody. I was so lucky because I could live in this fantastic world that I really want to give back what I receive from art and artists during the year. And so for me it's important to do educational program, children, people with special needs, and adults, and so on. And yes, and this is inside. This is we talk about is Adrian Villarroca's exhibition. Well. Yes, in this case we did carte blanche like with Paulina, and was quite a hard process, but was a fantastic exhibition that yes, was 2015 or 17. Yes, and he changed completely the space as Paulina did. And sorry?
No. I would want to say you collaborate with artists, you collaborate with your family, you collaborate with many curators and I've done some for many, many years. Of course, Hans, who was here on the stage recently. We also collaborate with other fondazioni and other institutions.
Yes.
So it's really an endless networks of support.
Yes, we collaborate with sometimes like up and with the Tate, Liverpool, with Glenn Brown, or we have a project, a great program with the Philadelphia Museum. The commission, in this case, every 2 years we commission a work that have to be film, video, installation, sound pieces, and so on. We collaborate with the Rachman Museum in Shanghai, so they have an exhibition in Torino with artists from all Asia, and we show the collection in Shanghai. The collection travel a lot through our collaboration, went to many from Quito in Ecuador. There is a friend of mine, Miriam, from Quito in Ecuador, to Whitechapel in London, and so in last year was in Palazzo Strozzi in Firenze, and next year will be in UC Davis in close to San Francisco. And then in my way to collaborate, 10 years ago, exactly 10 years ago, I created a committee. We are 18 private foundation, that means are all Italian collectors, that we decided to open a space, because in Italy we don't have so many museums, and all together we work to support Italian artists, but also to organize exhibition, and we work a lot together with the Minister of Culture. And so yes, I really believe that if you collaborate, many things are much easier and you can have much more success.
Yes. So how did that collaboration with Paulina work out? Because this was an invitation which became something different. Can we talk a little bit about this collaboration?
Yes, it changed a little bit. As I say, she used all the Fondazione, and she was amazing, and she completely changed the space. We have also to find a way, because there was some film, may I say, you don't want, but everybody saw the film, no? There are some film a little bit pornographic, a little bit, and when I saw the film, I turned pale, and I said, how can I do with kids and so on? But Paulina, she's fantastic, it was just behind me. I didn't know that she was there, but she was there. She understood, and we found a fantastic solution. And then we work a lot also with the educational department, because it's important, and so we find different parcours in order for our visitors, but for example, for young people to see your exhibition was so important, because we could talk with our educational person about so many important
absolutely things. And I'm going to go to, actually, this, I'm going to say it myself, was your project in Venice with the wonderful Korean choreographer Anmi An that Hans Ulrich co-curated with you, and was a most extraordinary project. I'm just going to go through a little bit quickly. Unfortunately, I have to keep moving, and going back to this idea of the collaboration within the Fondazione. What's interesting is that you pushing each other, you creating this tension, and for you, Paulina, you really reinvested this idea of eroticism, of like things that might have looked a little bit crass or cheap or Emmanuel, these things that have been rejected, and made that really a symbol of female empowerment, and kind of really looking at soft porn as a message for championing women's rights. Tiken, you want to say something about that a little bit?
Yes,
and maybe in the context of the bar?
Going through the subject matter, I thought also of a exhibition space, like really feeling, because it's also about empathy and being the host and being the guest. And I think with this, we really did a dance together, because it also, it took some time and preparations to do the show, and I made specific works for the show, like this painting, which was then shown in the bar, which was also a commission of Stinger, of another artist. We can continue with images. So, and upstairs, there is also Emilio Rebaudengo's restaurant, which I thought, if I want to really deal with the energy of the space, and if I want to deal with the, how does the viewer move in, like, you all move in through this exhibition, I thought, you might want to have a break. You might want to reconsider what are you looking in when you're sipping a glass of wine. So there I had this series on women and alcohol in the bar. And in the corridor is also such a, it has so many architectural references. And then in the Fondazione, there's many corridors. So I decided to hang the curtains based on one and only, I think, women porn magazine that existed, Viva, which was created by Bob
Guccione, also known
and
as
his wife.
founder of Penthouse magazine.
Yes.
So
it existed, but I really recommend this magazine. It's really great with images. And it was supposed to create, as for male, we had Penthouse, it was supposed to create like a female desire and fantasy. 1970s, Elliot. So it was, so based on this, I had images going in the screens and curtains that you would touch. Yes, another great aspect of exhibition is touch, smell, and wandering, I guess. And this fantastic space of Sandretto Re Rebaudengo really permits this. But I must say, I was really impressed with the educational also department, because not only their workshop, I mean, based on this sexual work, there were students making like collages, and I had Sylvie Lotringer film on the two women dominatrix, discussing, so it was, it was proper. Julie Verhoeven collaging different old porns. My new collaboration with Irini Caranapolo on the being in love with a painting called Ecstasy. So it was a lot of twist in this whole thing. And a beautiful auditorium also, where you host talks, film events, and so on. So it's a very lively space that
you did a great.
I mean, this looks pretty
the
lovely.
Students.
This image looks pretty lively. I was wondering if you can tell us a little bit what was going on here.
This is the restaurant.
Yes.
Paulina restaurants.
That's the Paulina restaurant. So was it a performance night?
Yes. Tell about the performance.
Well, it was so busy. It was the opening, and we had opened during the Artissima, so it was as busy as here. Yeah. But I really wanted to feed in on this idea of also the hermaphrodites. So a Polish soprano singer, Pat Guzik, she was directing and singing actually quotes from Viva, from the magazine, and from Kathy Acker, Pussy and the Pirates.
Okay.
You missed it.
This is Pat.
Good. No, but in this case, the art, another artist work with you,
yes,
so I mean,
yes.
It's another occasion to collaborate.
Exactly.
Massimo. Huh?
And again,
so this was at the opening, yes.
That's the opening. So this was not just an exhibition, this was a space to inhabit, to live, to experience, to be educated in many ways, it seems. I'm sure that you opened quite a lot of minds. But every time in this also very caring spirit, and I think that's really what you show throughout all your project with artists, is like, how do we create a safe space for this conversation to happen? How can we talk about feminism and porn in the same place and think maybe there's a conversation? I mean, some women would disagree with that. So how do you position also yourself in that?
Well, I think it was the braveness of Patrizia, that she said yes, and the curator, Iana Calzadonna, that we are actually working on a catalog for the show, because I thought there was so much unspoken and in between the lines that I would like to release it in the form of a catalog, also as a topic for further readings. But I must say, as an artist, for me to move with a foundation like Patrizia's that has a collection, has a history, has educational purpose, creates like a different range of how do you judge a show. It's not a show that it's for 1 month in a gallery and we move on. This show was for 6 months. And also, yes, there is this sense of like, what do I give to, as an artist, to the city of Torino and to the times we are living it. And I thought, sex and pleasure. And, Italy 2023, hello.
And female power. And actually, that's a perfect transition, because you're both not only doing your own practices as patron and artist, but you've also building further legacies in other projects that I'd love to talk about now in a minute. First here in Poland with you. This is in Rebaudengo. This is your new project, the Kadenowska Creative House Foundation, which is a big house in the forest in which you invite artists and you say you want this to be a house for alternative knowledge. Can you just tell us a little bit about this project?
Yes, so this is also the common line that as an artist, I'm a painter. I create exhibition, I curated show. I curated a show in Whitechapel 2 years ago with a collection of Christopher Sven's collection. So I like to play as a medium in a sense. But for the last 10 years, I've been living off the main road in a small town called Rebaudengo in Poland, where immediately I felt that what can I as an artist do, like Patrizia in Turin. So in this case, I found this abandoned house with a historical, interesting reference, and I started to do a form of a foundation, but a form of a meeting of artists, curators, writers, a place that doesn't have a defined line, but a bit as Patrizia is doing with her projects, where do I fill the lines? How do I permit, like the Venice project, you were saying that it was supposed to start small, but that it ended as a whole island, yes?
Yes. Yes.
So and we can go quickly through the images.
So here, just another images from your foundation in Poland. And here, actually, we're moving to Madrid, and that's a good moment, Patrizia, for us to tell us what you have in store, because two people, we could think that maybe Guarene and Torino would be already keeping you quite busy, but this was not quite enough. And Madrid is already...
Yes,
you've
Madrid
done loads of projects.
Yes, it's another important project for me. Yes,
I know that's a project that has some up and down. So where are you now? What's the ambition for Madrid?
Yes, Madrid. The foundation was established in 2017. We still don't have a physical space, so as we say, we are nomadic. So every year, we use the period of Arco, the fair, and we invite an artist in a specific space that we find in Madrid. This was Michael Armitage in the Academias de Bellas Artes, and it was fantastic because it's where Goya used to work and to study and then work. And so in the academia, they love so much Michael's works that they wanted to show some drawing by Goya in front of Michael. So it was an amazing exhibition, yes. Then we did one with Yan Chen, 2 years, then one, this is one Chen in a private foundation in Madrid. And Yan Chen was another collaboration with the Serpentine Gallery with Hans. Yes, and then we can, this is Lucas Arruda. This was another fantastic place. The Ateneo is a bibliothèque, it's always closed, and they open, and Lucas Arruda installed this fantastic forest. And just now, this year, we invited Precious Okoyon, and it was so particular because there is in the Parco del Retiro, that is the park in the center Madrid, there is a mountain that was abandoned for more than 30 years, and they just reopened, and so Precious could work inside with trees and also with a lamp, animatronic with a lamp. And yes, and for us, a very important occasion to invite artists not already shown and known so well in Spain, and to have the opportunity to do a great, for us, a great exhibition. Yes, a great.
Do you feel like not having a building, in a way, is liberating? Because you have these other buildings, each, one comes with a lot of history, another one comes with a lot of architecture. So this time you have to reinvent the project every time differently.
I have to say that is also a different way, because as in Torino we have, in Guarene we have, in Venezia we are working to have. So it's also a different way to work, because it's not easy every time to find the space not well known and invite the artists and to find the right artists working on that space. So it's also a challenge, something, no? But obviously that in my dream is to have soon a space in Madrid. I like so much Spain that I really would love to be a little bit more.
Okay, well, we need to watch this space then and see where you're going to find a home in
Find
Madrid.
the right place, yes. This is important, to find the right place. Like is Venezia for me now.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about Venezia because I have to say, I mean, you've seen some images, and actually I'm going to do what I said I would not do, which is to go back. Because people need to understand the scale of what we're talking about. Was this?
Venezia it's a small but nice island. This is the island from the boat.
Exactly.
Maybe
this is the island from
you
the
were
boat.
there. You saw from the boat.
I
no?
saw it. It was incredible. We were all on the boat,
Yes.
not expecting anything, and all of a sudden people started to go like, oh, and everyone stopped. They stopped talking. Everyone got up, and there was this huge plume of pink smoke coming from the island, and that was the kickoff of the project. And when we arrived, it was an incredible parade, choreography, kind of shamanistic experience.
Yes.
So this was really the scale of the ambition at which you work, and at which you work, Paulina, as well. I mean, it is about making a mark. It is about making a statement. It is about being ambitious. Dare I say, being ambitious for women, but being ambitious for artists in both cases. I mean, I love the fact that you're creating that space for artists and creating knowledge. It's really about bringing something to the discourse. I don't know, Paulina, if you wanted to just respond to that.
I think you said it well.
But it's so important to create this kind of collaboration, and I really believe that for us collectors, it's a fantastic opportunity, no, to know the artist, to talk about a project that is only a project, and then to be able to go ahead to realize this project, and the project become a work, an exhibition. And what I always think that this can happen only if we respect each other. It's very important to respect each other, if we have clear communication and we have the same vision. And then for after so many years, I can say that what is very important is to be involved as a patron and to support and to finance the project, but then we have to leave you, the artists, free to do what they want. This is the best way that there is to do a good project. We have not to interfere, because I know that sometimes we would like to interfere. So instead, it's so important to leave, in this case, Paulina. We really carte blanche to Paulina, and so she can.
And in fact, your collaboration is going to continue, because you're currently working on a book that is going to come out during Artissima this year. Is that right, Paulina? So.
Yes. Yes, I guess I wanted to say as an artist that for me, when you paint a painting and then you kind of think that the painting will have a life, is what I always wanted my paintings to be, that they, I used to say that they're manifestations, that they manifest rather than they are just an icon, that they're talking. And in a way, for me, by knowing that Patrizia started to understand my work by seeing it in the Triennale, and in Torino, I was then working with Bonnie on the subject of women in the port, women in the ports. What's the role of the women in the port? And then, understanding that she understood my visual language through knowing my work, and I understood her visual language through her collection, and it becomes then this mutual understanding that we have a trust to each other, what we want to create together. And for sure, it was a huge pleasure. Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting us here, because it's a great panel, to have a collector and artist next to each other. Sometimes it is very uncommon, and I would really encourage to have these conversations happening.
Well, thank you both for being so open and so generous about this relationship, of which most of us know very little about. And I think there's a word that I want to take away from it. This is word trust. You trusted Paulina with your house, literally. And Paulina, you trusted Patrizia to understand what you were trying to say. And I think that really resulted in a fantastic project. So to many more. Thank you very much, all of you, for being here. Really honored. We won't be taking any questions. I'm terribly sorry. We won't be taking any questions. But I hope you enjoyed the conversation and enjoy your week at Art Basel. Thank you very much.
Thank you.